Welcome to Rocky Mountain Evaluations. Before taking a look at the various superintendent evaluations we have loaded in our demo site, I'd like to show you what our observation tool looks like. That is the tool that we have that will operate on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever you choose, that fits onto your smartphone, your laptop, or anything with a browser. You simply make your notes as you proceed through the year, save your notes each time. You can email those to the superintendent if you want. If you don't have to, you retain those notes, and I'll show you in a brief moment as to how they will appear when you do the evaluation. So I will type my name in the name blank because I have some notes loaded in my name with the observation tool, and notice the observation tool appears. On the right, I click on the date and I see the notes. Click out of the notes, see the other notes, click out. So as I proceed through completing the evaluation, I can go in and out of my walkabout notes as many times as I want. This particular evaluation represents fairly common questions taken from various evaluations throughout the region. In this particular question set, we have major questions and sub-questions. So this being a major question with the following sub-questions. So I score each one, and notice the score adds up in the major question. So in this case, the person earns 10 out of 12. So I would proceed through the evaluation and do the same thing, score each one, and then you see the roll-up of the points. And then there's a comment section. If I wish to make comments, I simply type in the comments that I'd like to make. So this represents 10 questions with sub-questions under each one, and is a fairly good cross-section of superintendent evaluations. I can switch question sets by clicking into this button, and we will take a look at a superintendent evaluation that has auto-loaded rubric. In other words, in our administration portion, you can auto-load the rubric for each score. So once I hover over the 4 with my mouse, you see the narrative for the score of 4. Likewise for 3, likewise for 2, and for 1. So I would simply select the narrative I want, and it places the narrative in the box, and then if I want, I can add in whatever I want to say. This evaluation has about 19 questions to it, and represents again another cross-section of questions used widely throughout the Northwest. But all of the questions have an auto-load rubric, and you can change the rubric in our admin section if there's something that you want to add to or delete from the existing rubric. Another question set would be more of a traditional model that we may be seen used over the past years more than others. We simply have, in this case, 24 questions, and they represent the following areas you see in bolded print. So these are simply score the question, remarks if you want, score the question, make remarks if you want. It's up to you. Okay, then we have another model evaluation that contains questions to be scored by the board. In this case, it was a major question. And then we have personal goals that can be inserted by the superintendent, and those can be measured by the board. Next, I'd like to show you a board self-evaluation. This happens to be a fairly standard one. There are not too many of these around, but This is again, it represents questions and comments and so forth. So I think you can see by looking that our software will adapt to just about any type of evaluation that you'd like to see. This happens to be one that the state of North Dakota is planning to use. We are working with the state of North Dakota at the present time. But here's their major section, and then sub-questions underneath that. And then we score those. And you see the point total, 20 out of 24. And I'll show you one additional one from North Dakota that they're considering. It scores a little differently than the one that I just showed you. But this one speaks to accommodating the North Dakota law that says evaluations must be satisfactory or unsatisfactory. So we have custom programmed a portion here that says, okay, the overall category score for this section is 5 out of 8, which is satisfactory. In their mind, they've determined that 5 out of 8 is satisfactory. And the entire evaluation will be represented in the same manner. And now I'd like to give you a little insight as to how we collate. We've spent a good deal of programming time and thought in determining a collation process that's going to be as fair as possible to the person being evaluated. So here it says it sees more than one evaluation. Does it want us to consolidate them? Yes, we do. And we can see that we have question number 1, and this person, the consolidated average is 14 out of 16. Well, you can click on that, and you can see then the scores from each evaluator. The reason that we have this available is that we want the board as a whole to be able to look at all the scores and determine if there are scores that are outliers to the point where they influence the outcome of the evaluation beyond what it should be. So you can take a look at the composite line score, and then you can look at the sub-question scores. So if as a board they determine that there's 1 or 2 outlier scores that have wrongly influenced the evaluation, they can update sub-question scores at that moment. So they simply click on Update Question Scores, and then they can change the scores as to whatever they feel they should be as a group. In addition, we post the comments, and the comments are posted with author also. All of the questions would be collated in this manner so that the board as a whole can look at all the scores, determine if all the scores represent the facts needed to constitute a meaningful and representative summation for the superintendent. Okay, before we close, I'd just like to show you briefly in the admin portion of our software, we do the administrative tasks. User management would be all the board members. Scoring rubric you see as follows. We can do custom rubric. In this case, we have custom rubric programmed in that just has 2 or 1, satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And then of course we have question sets. You can put in a multitude of question sets for a variety of looks. And then the question management, and as we scroll down, I'll show you that we have walkabout questions. The walkabout questions are represented in the observation tool. So the board as a whole would set the things into this portion of the software that they want to look for during the year. And that would key the board members as they're going through the school year to make notes about the various points that were placed in the software to remind board members. If you want to add a question, that's how you do it. Simply click a button, type it in, and add it. If you want to add sub-elements, you simply click a button and add one. Also in this portion, you can see here's where we have our autofill comments. So the comment for the score of 1 is written here. 2 is written here. If you'd like to have auto rubric, this is where you put it in. We also have a plan of improvement. We now have it disabled in this particular evaluation, but we click this button and we can enable it. So that means whenever a score of 1 is given, a plan of improvement would be available for the evaluators to use. Also, by now you've noticed the trash can and the pencil. The pencil allows us to edit the questions however we might like. Then just click Update and it will change. The trash can, when you click the trash can, it asks you if you really want to get rid of the question. If you say yes, the question will be gone. Okay, lastly, the on hold button is, much as you might have guessed, it's to place the evaluation on hold. So you might start it on Monday, finish it the next Monday. However long it might take you, it'll stay on hold for, I think, 300 and some days. Pretty close to a year. In the report section, we'll be able to generate reports that'll offer summative data on the history of the evaluations for the superintendent, and then of course summative data for the school board evaluations. So the school board will be able to see where their strengths and weaknesses are. We also have a tutorial section. We have tutorials loaded in here that can be used for board in-service, whatever you might like them to be used for. In your own district, you can make these videos, send me the link, and I will load them on your site. If there's a particular process that you favor and you'd like it available so that it can be emailed to board members or other people in the district, you simply email those links and I put them on your site. Thank you for taking a look at Rocky Mountain Evaluations. We look forward to working with you.